Good afternoon, good evening. Regardless of where you are, it's always a great time to study the gospel, enlightened by Spiritism. Today, we're going to review chapter 80 of the book Our Daily Bread, which is titled The No and the Struggle. Before we begin, I'd like to take an opportunity to thank Kardec Radio for opening up its many platforms to conversations just like this one. Before we begin our talk, let's connect with our spiritual friends, connect with our spiritual benefactors, those who are always there for us, even though sometimes we believe they're not there, even though sometimes we're not in tune with them, but they never give up on us and they're helping us and they're hoping that we progress spiritually, both morally and intellectually. So let's connect to those friends and ask them to bless us, bless our homes, the homes of our friends, and even the homes of those who consider themselves our enemies. May we never forget, even in the most difficult moments of our existence, that assistance is always there and we're never alone. Even though our physical eyes might not see our spiritual friends, but we always have those friends guarding us, supporting us. All we got to do is just connect them through prayer. Thank you, Lord. So be it. So again, today we're going to review chapter 80 of the book Our Daily Bread, and the title is The No and the Struggle. The chapter is based on Matthew chapter 5, verse 7, and the passage reads as such: Simply let your yes be yes and your no, no. So, a very interesting passage here in the words of Jesus, indicating that we have to be assertive in our values. Emmanuel starts the conversation by indicating that we should love according to the lessons of the gospel, but do not allow your love to become a shackle impeding your march toward the superior life. So interesting here, Emmanuel he starts indicating that, hey, we should love the gospel that teaches us to love one another, of course, love our family members, love our neighbors, love everyone, even our enemies. However, we should know the limits of our actions, the limits of how that feeling, the way our attitudes, we should not allow those to be harmful to us or harmful to others. He continues here indicating that be of assistance to whomsoever needs your cooperation. Meanwhile, do not allow your assistance to foster disturbances and vices in another's path. So again, Emmanuel is reminding us the need for us to have the balance in what we do. Even as we give a hand, a helping hand to other people, we want to make sure that we do lift them up. But even though we do lift them up, it is not to anybody's benefit, not to the individual, to myself, to carry now that individual moving forward. Nobody can carry us towards perfection. We are the ones who ascend through our own efforts. The same applies to us, the same applies to us, our brothers and sisters. Enthusiastically assist anyone who requests a favor of you. However, do not yield to frivolity or foolishness. So again, as we live in society and we interact in society, and that's very important for our development. And those interactions, we should bring to those interactions our values. We should bring to our interactions our understanding of the world, our understanding of the spiritual world, regardless of who we are interfacing with. So we gotta assist everybody, but as we assist, we should also take take with us, provide that help, never yielding to any kind of foolishness or frivolity, even if the individual is in that is that kind of individual. And again, Emmanuel is not indicating that we should be sad and taciturn people, bitter. No, we should be happy. We should have that enthusiasm. However, we should not have the extreme. And again, because we have our knowledge, we have our principles, and also we want to be respectful of those that we are assisting, not to offend them by sometimes being um, playful in the wrong moments. Emmanuel says more. Open wide the doors of well-being to those around you, but do not overlook the education of your companions to true happiness. So again, we can help, we can open the doors to whoever needs some assistance. However, we all need education. We all need to educate ourselves. We all need to learn our lessons. And even if I'm helping someone, if I'm adding the material help or the emotional support, it is also important for me to, even though nobody knows everything, we're always learning from one another. If I can give, I can share some bits of wisdom with whomever asks for help. It's important too. And it works the other around. We should not never close ourselves to any kind of advice, any kind of suggestion, any kind of feedback we receive from anyone around us. Each one of us has a different perspective. For the most part, none of us here on planet Earth are evolved or perfect spirits. Not yet. We're going to be someday. So we're all learning from one another. So we can always have something to teach and something to learn. We can always have something to give and also some kind of help that anyone can provide to us. Emmanuel continues. Cultivate graciousness and cordiality, however, be loyal and sincere in your attitudes. So again, you should be courteous and gracious and polite and kind, but it needs to come from your heart. It needs to be sincere, spontaneous. It needs to come from inside and not just have a mask of those types of behaviors. And it might actually be hurtful to somebody if they notice a level of insincerity in our behavior. So, and Emmanuel continues here the explanation, indicating that saying yes can be very agreeable in all situations. Notwithstanding, saying no in determined areas of human struggle is more constructive. So again, Emmanuel is explaining to us the balance that we need to have. Yes, it's great for us to say yes, and especially with protocol to become more popular with our brothers and sisters, with our peers, whatever they ask of us. However, we have to have the proper judgment and understand that a lot of times to not always walk on their 2 feet as well. A very interesting story of Jesus with Lazarus. And when Lazarus was presumed dead, but Jesus was able to help him out. The most interesting part of the story with Lazarus is that Jesus did not lift Lazarus up. Actually, he asked his helpers to remove all the bandages from Lazarus. And then he said, "Hey, Lazarus, now it's up to you. It's up to you to get up and walk. Get up and leave the tomb yourself." So again, Jesus was indicating that, yeah, I can help you so much and I should help you up to an extent. However, at some point, it's going to be up to you to move ahead. So the same thing applies to us. At some point, it is up to us to get on our 2 feet, stand up, and keep walking towards perfection. Trying to satisfy all the requirements of the path is to waste time and sometimes life itself. Again, it's great for us to be trying to be super helpful, but again, we have to be judgmental. If our help is actually going to be productive to somebody, or if the type of help that if we are actually applying the type of help to others, again, we can waste time, our time, and time of others if our help is unnecessary, or even destructive in life itself. because others, they need to pursue their paths as well. They need to make we are not supposed to carry. We're supposed to support one another, but we're not supposed to carry one another. It's up to each one of us to walk. And that's why we have the experience of life, so we can experience it ourselves. And during our life, our existences, I should say, or our life is a spiritual life, during our existences, we have a chance to walk, we have a chance to climb, but it has to happen through our own efforts. Many continues here. Just as yes should be pronounced without flattery or adulation, the no should be pronounced without harshness. So again, there should be a balance. And as we say yes, as we agree to help somebody, or as we agree to be courteous, that should be without adulation. That should be sincere. On the other hand, there are times when we have to say no. But even when we say no, there's no need for us to be harsh. There's no need for us to be hurtful. And we can say yes and still be assertive. And at the same time, we can say no and still be polite and kind. In some circumstances, it is necessary to contradict so that the legitimate assistance is not lost. It is important, however, to recognize that the negative, wholesome response is never a disturbance. What is disturbing is the blunt tone in which it is pronounced. So again, Emmanuel touches the aspect again that sometimes you have to contradict. Sometimes you have to be assertive. Sometimes you have to disagree with others. Sometimes you have to say no. Sometimes you might say, "Hey, the help that you're asking me is not really good for you," or the help that you're asking me, this is not the time for me to provide you with that help. And again, we need to use our judgment, and not only our judgment from an intellectual standpoint, but also moral standpoint. And based on our just best judgment, then think and our sincere judgment to indicate, hey, how is the best way to help, and what's the best time to help as well. And a lot of times we have to say no, or even we may assist people and assist our brothers and sisters, but not in the same way that they want us to. We assist in the way that we can, and in a way that, again, based on our judgment, on whatever little wisdom we have, we recognize that that's going to be the best and the most productive way that we can help. So in those circumstances, saying no, you can say no or yes, but without creating any kind of disturbance. What is disturbing, what can be troublesome, is the way in which I communicate my message. That could be more of a problem. So I can say again, I can say a yes without flattery, in a kind manner, without being exaggerated and being sincere. In the same way, I can also say a no, again, being sincere and still being kind as well with that individual, and being assertive, but again, never being hurtful. And of course, Emmanuel here reminds us that manners for the most part speak farther than words, which is very true. People might not never remember your title. People might never remember your nationality. People might never remember any kind of degrees you have, where you live, and maybe not even your name. But it is very hard for them to forget the way that you've treated them. Emmanuel finalizes indicating that simply let your yes be yes and your no, no. Recommends the gospel. In order to agree or to reject, no one is obliged to be of honey or bile. It will suffice to remember that Jesus is the Master and the Lord, not only by what he does, but also by what he does not do. So again, we see here that the need for us to have this judgment as we evolve. And again, like Emmanuel indicates here, we're going to be a lot more agreeable, quote unquote, more likable if we say yes to everybody and to everything. But our progress, our path of progress, it is based on our decisions and our judgment. And as part of that development is to understand when to say yes and when to say no. And regardless of our answer, we have an opportunity to still be correct, to still be kind and courteous using the proper tone that we use. Again, either agree or disagree. And interesting enough, and Emmanuel here in the end it reminds us again that Jesus was the master not because he was saying yes all the time, but also because of the things, not only the things that he did, but also the things that he did not do. So he was agreeable. He was always willing to help others, but also he was also willing to educate. He was willing to educate the Pharisee, the Sadducee, his disciples, even Pontius Pilate. When Pontius Pilate asked him, "Hey, are you the king of the Jews?" and he clarified, "Hey, that's what you're saying." Right? Because again, Jesus was not here to be considered a king, quote unquote. He is the governor, not the king of the Jews. He's the governor of the whole planet, a spirit of higher order. So he was not interested in having titles. So he was explaining to Pontius that Pontius Pilate, hey, whatever title you say, that's up to you. I do not need any kind of title. I already have the development, the spiritual perfection. I've reached the spiritual perfection long enough to, and I'm clarified, I'm wise enough to understand that whatever honors you provide to me or you try to provide to me on earth, they're just that, just words. That's our conversation for today. I hope you like it. And as always, if you like it, make sure you click the little like button. And to make sure that you do not miss conversations just like this one or others provided by Kardec Radio, make sure also that you either subscribe or follow depending on the social media that you're using to watch this conversation. At this time again, let's connect with our spiritual friends and ask our spiritual friends, our ask Jesus, ask God, ask for inspiration in our decisions. Every day, every moment, we're being asked to make a decision, to say yes to some proposals or to say no for some requests. The most important thing is for us to have the discernment to know, to have the wisdom to know when to apply each kind of response. Also, we ask for strength so that if we have to say yes, be that yes sincere, may we be actually willing to assist in our heart. However, if we say no, we meant that no be without offense. Be that no be still kind, be still be polished enough so that we do not hurt any of our brothers and sisters. At any way, at any rate, it's important for us to have the strength to do what's right, especially the wisdom to decide what path to take. May God's love be with us always. So be it.